training camp goes on and on, they're going to continually add new plays, and that's what you see right there. You see Coach Prime in attendance, sitting far in the bleachers, turned down all media because he said he's there to watch Shedeur Sanders not speak out to the media, and I love that. Right here was supposed to be a sack play, but they did not blow the whistles. Shadur Sanders sprinted downfield on this play right here. I do want to ask you guys, do you guys prefer me to speak over, give you guys commentary? I know a lot of you enjoy that, and some of you like the audios, so just let me know. Right here we have 7-on-7, Shadur Sanders.
Nobody saw this coming. Not the Cleveland media, not the analysts who spent all offseason burying him. And definitely not the people who thought Deion Sanders showing up to Browns training camp was just a dad watching his son throw a football. Because what actually happened on day 2 in Cleveland was so much bigger than that. A quiet conversation, a single question, and one throw that the Browns don't even want you to see. That's right, a touchdown that officially doesn't exist. But what happened next exposed a double standard so glaring that even longtime Browns insiders couldn't ignore it. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why Cleveland is nervous.
Frankly, when this Deion, will Todd Monken call him? Should Deion call Todd Monken? All that nonsense that was the offseason talk, was blown up into it. The things that any reasonable person wanted to hear were, can you give me insight on, on Shedeur as a competitor and how to best coach him? And can you pay deference to Deion instead of being maybe a little leery of his big personality and all the things that come with Deion? That's exactly what Todd Monken did today. Yes. I just think it proves that all that story that you and I both shot down and so many people try to do a whole week's worth of stories on.
Let's set the scene. Day 2 of Browns training camp, Ohio heat, reporters everywhere, cameras rolling on every rep. And in the bleachers, far back, away from the cameras, sits Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. Not doing interviews, not working the sideline, not even talking to media. He turned every single reporter down. Why? Because he said he came for one reason only, to watch his son. Now think about that for a second. One of the most magnetic personalities in football history, sitting quietly, watching. That's not the Deion Sanders the media loves to caricature. That's not the circus they warned you about all offseason. That's a father. And that alone should have been the story, but it wasn't even close to the biggest one. Here's where things get crazy. Before Coach Prime even sat down to watch practice, he had a conversation with offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Remember the off-season panic, the will Deion call Monken narrative? The week of speculation, headlines, hot takes, all built on a phone call that supposedly never should have happened. Yeah, that story just collapsed in real time. Because insiders on the ground confirmed it, Monken didn't dodge Deion, he welcomed him. Not just welcomed him, invited him in. Talked football, talked about how to coach Shedeur as a competitor, talked about understanding his personality instead of fearing it. That's not what a coach does with someone he considers a distraction. That's what a coach does with someone he respects. And that's not even the most shocking part. Here's where the media's argument completely falls apart. Local insiders pointed out something that should stop every Browns fan in their tracks. This energy, this welcome, this openness from the coaching staff, it's nothing like what the building felt like a year ago. Last season, under the old regime, there wasn't this kind of comfort, this kind of access, this kind of trust. Now, Deion is in the building, in the bleachers, in the conversation, and nobody's running from him. And yes, some fans are already asking the obvious question, well, does every player's father get this kind of access? No, because your dad isn't Deion Sanders. Understand the moment for what it is. This isn't about favoritism. This is about a Hall of Famer, a Heisman winner, a two-sport legend sitting quietly in the stands because his insight actually matters to the building trying to develop his son. That's not controversy. That's opportunity. And Cleveland is finally using it.
That was a good defensive play. And so we have a quick out right here to Isaiah Bond. Just move the sticks. This play right here, I definitely love. This is a motion play. They're going to run a drag route, and Isaiah Bond is going to come on a dig route, 15 yards. Shadur Sanders hit him right there, and Isaiah Bond gets upfield and goes score. Absolutely amazing. You guys know that they're not going to count that as a touchdown because they are very crooked when it comes to the QB tracker, but we see what's going on when we watch this footage. Right here, another amazing route. Denzel Boston and Shedeur definitely been looking good as far as day 2 of training camp and day 1. Drag route once again to Tylan Wallace.
Now, let's get to the football, because this is where Shedeur silenced a lot of noise. Browns split the reps. Sanders and Green ran with the 1s. Watson and Gabriel ran with the 2s. No surprise, since the staff already told everyone that plan the night before. But watch what happened when Shedeur got rolling. Drag routes, crossers, motion concepts. Todd Monken's fingerprints were all over this install, and Shedeur started finding a rhythm. A hitch to Isaiah Bond, a quick out to move the sticks, a completion to Jake Seibert working the middle of the field. Then, the play everyone's still talking about. Motion, drag route underneath, and Isaiah Bond releasing on a dig route 15 yards downfield. Shedeur delivered a strike. Bond caught it in stride and sprinted straight into the end zone. No whistle, no stop, full sprint, untouched, into the end zone. And guess what? The Browns didn't count it as a touchdown. Now, pay attention to this, because here's where the official numbers completely miss what actually happened on that field. By the tracker, Shedeur finished 14 of 24. Deshaun Watson went 16 of 22. On paper, that reads like Watson had the sharper day. But that's not even the most shocking part. Deshaun Watson threw 2 interceptions on day 1. Shedeur, 0. Clean football, no turnovers. Just command of the offense and stacking completions in a system that is still being installed rep by rep. In that touchdown to Isaiah Bond, it doesn't even show up in the box score. So when the media tells you the numbers say it all, ask yourself, do they? Because the eye test tells a completely different story than the spreadsheet. Here's what the Browns fans need to hear. Reports from the ground describe Shedeur's start as shaky, a few missed reads early, a defense that got the better of him more than once. But then, he settled in. He found the rhythm. He started distributing the ball with confidence, hitting receivers in stride, working through progressions like a quarterback who's not just surviving camp, he's studying it. That's the story nobody wants to tell, because it's not dramatic enough, it's not controversial enough. It's just development. Real, human quarterback development. And that's what happened next left Browns fans stunned in the comment sections. Not outrage, not controversy. Optimism.
Better day than Shedeur Sanders, but I'm still going to give Shedeur Sanders the edge because he simply protected the football, no interceptions, and Deshaun Watson had 2 on day 1. So I'm still giving the edge to Shedeur Sanders. You guys can get in the comments and let me know how do you guys feel about today's practice. And I also like to judge what I see on tape. I'm not really a big fan of the QB tracker because we know they leave out a lot of stuff. Like Isaiah Bond actually had a touchdown. I mean, they did not blow the whistle. That is why he sprinted downfield into the end zone, but they did not want to count that. Overall, I feel like this was a very good day 2 of practice. Shedeur Sanders.
Because here's where things get interesting. Locker room insiders, beat reporters, even skeptics who spent the entire offseason predicting chaos in Cleveland, they're starting to notice something. The energy around this quarterback room has shifted. Coach Prime in the building, not causing distractions, sitting quietly, meeting respectfully with the coordinator, watching from a distance. Shedeur on the field, absorbing hits, absorbing criticism, and still finding a way to move the sticks and put points on the board, even if the scoreboard won't admit it. And Todd Monken, building an offense that actually plays to his strengths: motion, space, timing throws. This isn't the circus they promised you. This is a plan coming together in real time. But let's be honest about something. If this was any other rookie quarterback, if this was any other father showing up quietly, sitting in the stands, having a respectful conversation with the coordinator, nobody would blink. But because it's Deion Sanders, because it's Shedeur Sanders, every single moment gets put under a microscope. Every stat gets scrutinized twice. Every touchdown gets erased from the record if the whistle didn't blow in time. Every quiet, respectful visit gets turned into a headline about distractions. And still, through all of it, Shedeur just keeps stacking days. Whether you love Shadur Sanders or you're still waiting for him to prove himself, one thing is becoming impossible to deny. Every time they try to write him off, every time the story becomes about noise instead of football, he goes out and throws a 15-yard strike that turns into a touchdown they refuse to even put on the board. He protects the football when the veteran in front of him doesn't, and his father, one of the most polarizing figures in the history of this sport, sits quietly in the stands, letting his son's game do the talking. That's not a distraction. That's a story writing itself one rep at a time. And Cleveland, whether they admit it publicly or not, is starting to believe it too. If this story hit you the way it hit us, don't scroll past it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell, because day 3 is coming. And if today taught us anything, it's that Shadur Sanders is just getting started.